truly hope all our delegates are getting to learn more and gain a lot from our various sessions. I'd also like to welcome you to join us in our experience zone for demos and lots of offers that we have in store for you. There's a lot that's happening on this very digital platform. We're all set with our fireside chat, futuristic technology with fun, how AI, AR, and 5G can be the magic wand for women. So let us look forward to this fun conversation and fireside chat with Cathy Hackl, Futurist and Chief Executive Officer, Futures Intelligence Group, in conversation with Brenda Darden-Wilkerson, President and Chief Executive Officer, AnitaB.org. Looking forward to the session.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to be here today for this fireside chat. I am just beside myself that I get to speak to Cathy Hackl today, who is a futurist, who is dubbed as the CEO's personal guide to the metaverse. I have to hear more about that, but I think we're going to really enjoy being able to hear from Cathy today. So, Cathy, welcome. I'm so excited to get to meet you, and let's get started. So the first question I have for you is, what is a futurist? Let's help our audience understand even really what that is.
Yeah, great. I'm so excited to be here with you too, Brenda. I'm like so over the moon about this. What I will say, it's interesting because people hear the word futurist and I think they have perceptions. You know, sometimes I'll get people saying, do you have a crystal ball? I'm like, no. If I could tell the future, then I would probably be doing this for my private island next to Sir Richard Branson's, right? Futurist, right? So, futurists don't predict the future per se. We kind of look at weak signals and emerging trends to make sense of what could potentially happen and prepare companies or governments or organizations for that. The easiest way I explain it to people is when you have people in Wall Street, day traders, whatever, they're looking at what the stocks and the shares are doing, and they're kind of focusing on that. What I do when I wake up is I look at all the news that I can, all the different stories from society to politics to economics to technology, and try to start to build, connections between these stories and understand, what does this mean? How do they connect? And, what could potentially happen, if this trend, let's say, keeps going in the next 5 years. So I even call it futures intelligence. What I do every day when I wake up is futures intelligence, thinking through the future and understanding what could potentially happen.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. And, we're talking about here today some of the exciting things around tech. We know we're in a challenging time. It's a challenging time for women in general, in tech or otherwise. But we want to talk about some of the exciting things that are happening that, really can help women to get engaged around tech. Because, of course, we want to encourage as many women as possible to know that they too can become a part of this tech revolution. So can you help us understand how you got into AR, VR?
My beginning story with AR and VR really goes back to 2004. That's a long time ago. But I was working at CNN, and part of my job was to look at all the raw footage coming in from the war in Iraq. So, I had to sit through things that were not very pleasant. I always joke that I was a Facebook moderator before there were Facebook moderators. And, when you have that type of role where you have to look at these things, you turn your humanity switch off, maybe not off, but you turn it a little bit, you turn the dial just to, be able to kind of get by. And it wasn't until fast forward 6 years ago that I went to a conference and I put on a VR headset. I went into an experience called Confinement by The Guardian that puts you in a 6x9 solitary confinement cell in VR. And within a couple of minutes, I just felt claustrophobic. I took the headset off and I kind of felt, the only way I can describe it is I felt like that dial or that switch turned back on. And it was that moment where, when that happened, I took the headset off. I was like, wow, this is the future of storytelling, of business. There's something here. And that was a moment where I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, and I did a hard pivot. Everyone thought I was crazy. This was 6 years ago, mind you. And even my husband was like, what are you doing? But, it's paid off. Now I'm in part of this really exciting industry.
That's really meaningful story that you can experience something like that, and it helps you understand what you want to do That's exciting. Thanks for sharing that with us. So, we run a women in tech organization at anitaB.org, and we want to help every woman who wants to get into tech get in. We know because there are many challenges that women face. So can you share some of the challenges that maybe you faced as a woman in tech?
Yeah, and I did want to give you props with anitaB.org because you guys do such an amazing work. I have personally benefited from it. So when I was studying to get my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, a friend of mine said, "Hey, they have these study groups." And I said, "That's fantastic." And I did my study group. And I personally think that it was one of the reasons I was able to pass. So thank you for the work you do. I'm personally benefited from it. So more women should definitely, take look at you guys for that. I would say, I have noticed, there's several things. I would say the VR AR industry, I do want to preface by saying that it's different than other parts of tech. It's still very collaborative. There's still a lot of strong women leading, which is great. We have had our challenges. There have been, scandals, and there have been issues. But I think it's a little bit more collaborative. What I will say, maybe one of the things that I have faced is I feel that sometimes getting to the level of recognition that I now have took me a lot longer and had more roadblocks than for maybe some of my counterparts that are male. Right? It kind of came seamlessly or quickly to them or things like that. So it has, I've had to travel a longer path to get there. But one of my missions being here and having kind of gotten to that place where, a lot of people in the VR AR industry have heard of me is kind of to help more women and get more women into tech and specifically into this industry. So yeah, it's, I wouldn't say, I would say that I've definitely had challenges. One of the things I have learned is to have my voice heard, right? Another thing that I've done as well is to, share what I'm doing. Like, I feel as women, sometimes we stop ourselves. We're like, oh, I don't want to be braggy, or, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much. No, go for it. Go for it. Are your male counterparts stopping themselves? I don't think so. So you should do it yourself too. And kind of, yeah, right?
Yeah, that's so important. And it's so important for the women out there to hear that. We're socialized differently from that. So we have to try a little harder, but it's definitely the right advice. So thank you for that. So, of course, we're always thinking about diversity and adding more women and making sure, excuse me, the table where tech is created is diverse, is representative of everyone that tech will serve. So can you share any companies that you think are doing right? Or what is it that the companies who are doing diversity right across the industry, what is it that they're doing?
It's interesting when I try to think who's doing it right. I feel like people are doing great things and they're doing great strides, but is anyone really getting it right? I think that there's still a long way to go, especially for women of color in tech. We've got to hear, I think I'm Latina. So from a Latina perspective, I think it's 2% of people working in tech are Latinas. There are efforts and there are companies that are trying to get that number higher, but that number, as well as, other women of color and, and differently able people, those numbers need to be higher to reflect, everything else. I think my biggest thing here is that with AR and VR, we are creating kind of the next phase of reality. And we need to have everyone at the table with different points of view if we're creating this new reality, what comes after the internet. So it's, this is a call to action to everyone, all the women and, people of color and differently able people, we all need to be part of creating this new reality.
Well, you're not going to get an argument from me there. I totally agree with you that, and that's why we created this phrase that we use all the time, inclusive technology. Mm-hmm. So can you tell the audience what that means to you?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot through this, because I think my lens used to be only from a person of color and a woman in tech. And I've widened it a lot more to think about, especially when you were designing new technology, right? When you're designing, let's say, a device or glasses, and designing for everyone, designing for humans, and humans includes a whole bunch of different people, right? I've been talking a lot through accessibility and people that are differently abled, and thinking how, innovations that help people that are differently able help all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, like a very simple example that I was talking to with a friend was, if you're in New York or if you're in a big city and you're in a wheelchair, there's these ramps that you go up and down the street if you're able to have them in your city. But that doesn't only help the person with a wheelchair, it helps the mom with the stroller. It helps so many delivery people. So those things that can help innovate and help all humans, that's what I think when we get to truly inclusive design and inclusive policies as well.
That's right. That is so true, Cathy. We talked about that many years ago when we first started trying to figure out how to, create the information that people could absorb better and help them understand that when you really work with folks on the margins, let's just call it out, that lifts everyone. And the ramp is such a great example. In fact, the studies show that people on bikes, women with strollers, use the ramps more than people on wheelchairs. So, it's something that works for everyone if we make sure that everyone is included. So that's so important. Yeah. And thank you for that. So,
and even those sneakers, Brenda, I want to mention the sneakers that just came out because I'm sure you saw them.
Right.
Amazing. Right. There's these sneakers that, you don't have to lace up. You literally just put your foot in there.
That's
and
right.
That was to me a beautiful moment of, it's not like people want it because it's fashionable, but it's also accessible. That's beautiful.
Right. It is. And I know that there are people all over the world who are thinking, finally, there's something that will help me. Right. And it's for everyone. It's awesome. It's awesome. So, I've had a few experiences with AR, VR, really excited to learn more. So what advice would you give women who are wanting to enter the industry?
This is the advice that I got when I got started. Someone said to me, there's going to be opportunities for all sorts of different skill levels in AR and VR. Yes, you can be a developer and you can have those technical skills, but you're also going to need other people over here in the marketing side, on the business side, on the product development side. That there's going to be so many opportunities. So I don't think people should limit themselves and think that just because they don't know, C++ or something or C# that they shouldn't enter. No, there's going to be great opportunities. So anyone listening to this, these are the jobs of the future. These are the opportunities of the future. Everything from, yes, developers and 3D fashion designers to hologram stylists. I mean, it sounds really far-fetched, but it's so broad and there's so many opportunities for all of us.
That's exciting. And when you think about all of us, there's this other ism that we deal with, which is ageism. Many times people who may have wanted to get into tech originally, or maybe they didn't, and they're on their second or third or fourth career, right? So they can also learn and get in. And we need them, right?
We need them. And this is when I talk about that, I share two things. I say, millennials are going to turn 50 in about a little less than 10 years. Let that sink in. So we've been talking about millennials for how long, et cetera. So, so age, I think age and how we view age is going to change. And then I think the statistic is that half of the children born today are going to live to 103 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you start to think through that, the idea of ageism and things, that's going to get flipped on its head because, we're going to have, work and career as we understand it is going to change. My kids are going to have multiple careers and multiple paths. And I think that idea that when someone gets to like 50 or 60, no, they're still creating amazing things. They're still doing amazing things, especially with women. And obviously you mentioned the challenges, right, that we're facing with a lot of women, having to leave the workforce, et cetera. But I feel that also will breed innovation and will breed women going off on their own. Like I personally literally just left a very well-paying job in technology to do my own thing. And I was like, I know that not everyone can do it, but for me, it was one of those moments where I said, it's my time. Like I'm already stuck at home with my kids, right? It's my time to do this and to really try to get to that next level. the opportunity here with VR specifically is that it's going to allow you to work in a headset, right? So you could be anywhere. You could be anywhere in the world. India, you could be in Norway, you could be anywhere in the world. And through VR, you're able to work with people all across the globe. So there's a fantastic opportunity.
That's awesome. So instead of me being here in Chicago under 18 inches of snow, I could be somewhere warm.
You could be in St. Bart's.
Awesome. Awesome. So you talk many times about having women have their own personal brand, and you really champion that. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Why is that?
I think it's important. It goes back to what I mentioned about, being more outspoken about what you do and what you accomplish, and not think that, I'm bragging or I shouldn't be talking about this. No, you are special. You are doing great work. Why shouldn't you be sharing it with the world? And one of the things that I've noticed, I think it was the World Economic Forum that put out like 10 leadership qualities, or I can't remember what specific was the term, but one of them was social capital and social influence, right? And, some people might say, oh, that's not really important. No, in this day and age, it is, who you are virtually in these social spaces matters. So right. Women need to kind of start, tooting their own horn or patting themselves on the back more, and be more outspoken about what they're doing, and carry the flag. And, the girls are watching. That's what I tell my girls and all these girls in schools, and they're all watching. And you have to set that example and say, I am here, I am worthy, and I am doing amazing stuff.
So that is amazing. And you're so inspirational. So, and unfortunately, we're out of time. I just want to ask you to just give a shout out to the women, and, what would you say that, to them to encourage them to get in and about the future of tech?
I would say is now is the time to start sinking your teeth into this. Think about what you want to do and what, I just feel like there's so many opportunities with AR and VR that are coming down the line. So, the time is now for you to take advantage of that. And like I said, don't think that it's only going to be opportunities on this side. There's going to be opportunities across different marketing, business development, product design, development, and more on the technology side, but it's such a broad spectrum. So women in tech, I think, is a big, broad term now.
Well, of course, I'm going to be in agreement with you. So thank you so much. This has been great. Cathy Hackl, somebody to watch. Keep up with her. She's going to show us where to go.